Nikaya, three refuges. Udam saranam gacchami. Udam saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The five remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened. May their vows be completely realized. And may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. Please stand for the Heart Sutra, on page 4. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Practicing deep Prajna Paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra form is no other than emptiness, emptiness, no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness, exactly form. Sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by Prajna Paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond elusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by Prajna sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore, set forth the Prajnaparamita mantra. Set forth this mantra and proclaim. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the six worlds and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Irene, Mary and Dan, Haifa, Jack, Darcy, Mike, Karen, the Simone family, Evan, Sarah, Soke, Roger, Lucille, Griffin, Chrissy, and Chelsea. May they have peace and healing, as well as Marjorie, Chief, Patsy, Margaret, Jeanette, Maggie, and Mark at the time of their deaths, as well as those names we hold in the silence of our hearts, and those names who we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. primary school teachers and students are dismissed. Everyone else, please prepare for zazen. We will now recite the Sangha Covenant on page 8 in the Living Book. We, the Daishin Rokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated. I'll sit comfortably facing the teachers so you can make eye contact. And in a moment, we will recite the Gatan Opening the Sutra, also found on page 8.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. So it's the conclusion of what we have termed the Hazy Moon session, Hazy Moon Retreat, and it was a very powerful session. For those who may not know, the session or sesshin is a very central, in fact, it's probably the central practice of Zen. It has to do with coming into a time and a place of concentrated effort to exclusively focus on opening the Dharma eye and perceiving Buddha nature. This, as you can imagine, is not so easily done Its demands are rigorous, but its rewards are so much more than the rigor they demand. I'm really inspired and heartened and encouraged by everyone's practice. And I hope that you find your practice encouraging too, even if it's a little bit tough to swallow sometimes, or it doesn't feel pleasant always. Has anyone here ever had growing pains in the body? Yeah, well, there are spiritual growing pains that occur in the soul, so to speak. They are not a contraindicator. Nothing is wrong when Junior's femur is going through a little bit of a process. It's not fun, but that's what needs to happen. In fact, if Junior doesn't go through that issues with the femur and the knees, Mom and Dad ought to be worried about it. Right? God forbid the young'un stops growing prematurely. Which would you rather, a pain-free stunted growth or some growth that causes a little pain along the way? I think it's pretty clear. And so it is too with our spiritual practice. We perhaps think, oh, all I need to do is sign off on the correct creed of beliefs or unprovable truth claims or some other story, and my work is done. No, dear one, your work has been evaded, avoided, and bypassed. Simply signing off to a sheet of truth claims will not suffice, not in the furnace of sesshin, not when it's your turn in the Doksan room and the teacher asks, what is it? Well, I believe. Well, I don't care. So if it's not belief, what is it? It's direct experience and realization. Direct experience and realization. It's the difference between believing that one ought to be an educated person and actually getting an education. So, we're pressing into the Lankavatara Sutra, which as far as it goes, we're kind of rounding the bend on. I can actually foresee coming to the end of this sutra, and I'm pretty well inclined to just start over, honest to goodness. This sutra, it's funny, Roshii and I were chatting in the back before she took her leave, and this sutra has been in a feature in my Dharma practice ever since I began training. My first teacher wrote the preface to the book. It was around, and I can remember reading this thing and just going, what the hell is this saying? I don't get it, but I'm going to keep it near. Even though I couldn't comprehend or understand, I kept the sutra close, always within arm's reach. In fact, this exact copy, which I have used to serve as an Inka Shomei document for Doan Roshi, is exactly that copy that I bought, 88, 89, something like that. It takes time sometimes to grow into things. But from my perspective these days, it's really not so complicated. I hope to shave a decade or two off your process if I can and be of some use. So let's look together and see what this cryptic old tale might have to say to us today. Continuing on in the chapter describing the stages and practice of bodhisattvahood, the sutra says this. The setup is that the querent has asked, tell us about the stages of development and training. What's up with that, Buddha? How's it go? And the Buddha said, well, there are stages, as a matter of fact, fancy you ask, and disciple, master, arhat, bodhisattva, Buddha. Okay? And we're in the bodhisattva conversation now. So clearly, this is a Mahayana text. So, strengthened by the new strength that comes to the new bodhisattva from the Buddhas, and with more perfect insight that is theirs by reason of their advance in self-realization of noble wisdom. So these are the two conditions that the sutra is saying are prerequisite for entrance into this stage of experience. One, strengthened with new strength that comes from Buddhas. We've discussed at some length at this past retreat about what it means to receive strength from the Buddhas, that one of the key delineators is can we ask for help and can we receive help? Sometimes we have this image that a great spiritual practitioner is utterly self-reliant in all things, and the Buddha didn't teach that. Yes, the Buddha taught I alone, and the world-honored one. That's you, by the way, not him. Him too. But also, Sangha is a deep treasure. Community and friends. Deep, deep treasure. Spiritual friends. Spiritual community. So, with this new strength that comes to them from the Buddhas, from being willing to ask for and to receive guidance from awakened ones, and with the more perfect insight, the more depth of experience that they have accrued by reason of their advance in self-realization. Note, it's not advance in their memorization of the canon. It's not about going to yeshiva and memorizing all the midrash and getting it all calculated, or being able to spit back Aquinan theology on command, or for that matter, the tenets of Dogen's Shobogenzo. It has nothing to do with that. Okay? It has to do with depth of self-experience. Know thine self. And there are levels to it. It's one of the challenges is that sometimes people might think, oh, I don't need a spiritual teacher. Oh? Is that so? How's that been working out? What you need is a credible guide. You need the real deal. You need someone who's actually got the depth of experience that you seek to experience as well. Not that their experience can be transferred onto you, it cannot, but simply one who's done the work can help you because they've stumbled on every single pothole. They've fallen into every side quest that ends up just draining hit points for no benefit. Okay, it's like, oh yeah, I know that one. I remember that one, and that's what you need. See. And that's why it's very important if you're a young person listening to this, however you define that. Typically, that's 20 years younger than you, by the way. Whatever that is, that's young. Old is always 20 years older than you, however old you are, right? So. But anyway, if you're a young person listening to this and I'd like you to just be aware, perhaps in a way that you cannot, that many of the young generation with the social media life that we now live in, inhabit as an ecosystem of mind, there's this kind of need to brand oneself and to position oneself and to be seen in a certain light and all of this stuff. Be very, very careful about trying to brand yourself as a spiritual teacher when you're 20. I don't care if you've had the most earth-shattering kensho of all of humanity. You're still 20. Settle down. We've had maybe a little bit of waking up. Let's do some growing up, okay? It's important. It's really important because no matter how much natural capacity a young person may have, let's say, there's a maturation process that time alone will do. There's no way you can have 20 years of experience with that awakening without living for 20 years with that experience. So don't try to make a thing out of attainment and brand it and be known that way. It can actually become it's really dangerous. Imagine if your livelihood depends on you showing up as a great spiritual teacher, and then you begin to run into your blind spots, but you can't show them because your rent payment depends on it. See, this is a misaligned incentive here. Let's be careful. Instead, the sutra spells out quite a lengthy journey, quite a row to hoe here. And the currency of it is experience of self-realization of noble wisdom. Noble wisdom. There's a Buddhist specific term, at least in the tradition we would say it. It only points to one thing, that's the realization of the true nature of self. See? So, because they have received strength from the Buddhas and they have a more perfect insight. They had some, but now it's more perfect. And they have advanced in their self-realization. Notice, the sutra is not saying it's a binary. You're either fully awakened or completely foolish. It's not like that. There are levels of depth, you see. Now, a person can hear that maybe a couple of ways. Hearing that there's levels of depth could be very inspiring. I know for myself, I had some inclination to the stuff and felt there was some gap that I couldn't close and sought to great lengths to find a guide. Zen was not part of my childhood. I had no advantage of growing up with the Zen Buddhist temple down the street. After all, I grew up in Toledo. Oh, wait a minute. Well, back in the prehistory days, right? And the drive to realize this thing further is what helped me continue to seek out to find guidance. A sacred not being satisfied, if you will. And fortunate for me, whether it's just dumb luck or good karma or past life causes and conditions, whatever, I actually found the path. And more than that, I was able to recognize it and resonate with it and found a teacher who was willing to put up with me, and I didn't stop practicing. And everywhere along the line, there's reasons to quit. The world will always assert itself upon you. Don't be surprised by that. Now, because the Bodhisattva has the new strength that comes from the Buddhas and the more perfected insight and experience of self-realization of noble wisdom. Note, there's levels, there's depths, okay? And they've gotten deeper into it. Because this is true, now they will re-examine. They will look again and see now differently, more deeply. What will they look at? And what will they see more deeply? And what will they see differently? They will look again at the nature of the mind system. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. That's the mind system. There's alaya consciousness, the sense of self and egoic awareness, you could say. And there's storehouse consciousness, that eightfold mind system. If you think you've got it, you may, but there's more to it. So with the strength from the Buddhas and the deeper insight, what do? Do they go throw a party? Well, maybe, but really what they do is they re-examine the mind again, this time more carefully, with more subtlety and more clarity both. Now, I can remember being very new to practice and hearing a Roshi talk this kind of stuff and going, what is he talking about? What exactly does she mean? I had no idea what this work of self-realization actually was talking about. And if that's you, fear not, worry not. Simply begin practicing a bit of Zazen. Simply wonder, who am I? And you're on the right track. Now, they'll re-examine the nature of the mind system, the egolessness of their personality. The egolessness of their personality. They'll examine this again. Now, personality, take it to be simply your affectations and your preferences, your likes, your dislikes, the different components, your taste in music or food or what have you. They will examine that whole constellation again. more deeply, interrogating it more intensely. And I don't mean, by the way, just pulling up a spreadsheet and mapping things out. I mean, they'll taste it differently. They'll feel it differently. It's like you're more in touch with what you're in touch with. Why do I do that thing that I always do? Where'd that come from? What even is it? Do I agree? Because you see, at this stage, the Bodhisattva is getting a much clearer sense that all those little ticks and wiggles aren't actually them. That doesn't answer the question of who am I? You won't find who I am by looking at my vinyl collection, which is sweet, but you won't find. You'll know something about my taste in tunage, but my personality, my true self, lies not in any of these things. Further, they will re-examine, this is so heavy, right? They will re-examine the part that grasping and attachment and habit energy play in the unfolding drama of their life. Where does this drama come from? Is it really something they did to you? You can make a case, I understand. But really, on the ultimate and deepest level, on the level of true mastery, where is this drama coming from? Is it really what they said or didn't say? I wonder about that. Grasping. I don't grasp anything, never. I know for sure I don't grasp. I'm very clear about that. There's no grasping going on here, none. Oh, I see. We might want to investigate that a bit. Grasping and attachment. Grasping is, let us say, it has an active, kind of a yang connotation. Yeah, I'm grasping. There's something volitional in there, in the seasoning of it, right? Attachment, I'm attached. It's like Velcro. There's things I'm clinging to, there's things clinging to me. Yeah? How does this happen? This grasping, this attaching, and the habit energy. See, this is so critical, okay? A little bit of insight, or even a lot of insight into the nature of the self does not obliterate your history. Each of us has a place of birth in karma. And that doesn't just disappear because you have some insight. And that has consequences. And those consequences will play out. That habit energy pattern of mind. But now you see the Bodhisattva has more capacity to investigate this habit energy differently than they've done before. It's not the first time they've encountered it. But as I've said, there are levels. They investigate the part that grasping, attachment, and habit energy play in the unfolding drama of life. Now, this is so interesting because in this particular moment we live in, there's a wonderful bouquet of dramatic, crazy things happening, right? I mean, it's just like, it's we're gonna buy Greenland? What the hell? We're gonna invade this. Putin's doing that, and what's on fire now? And it just goes on and on. But honestly, I remember once, I was at a session a long time ago, and I don't know how many here were around for the first Gulf War, the Gulf invasion, Kuwait, Saddam. we rallied the world, we're going to go and save Kuwait, all that stuff, right? That was happening while I was at session. And I will never forget as long as I live. Roshii, we were in the depths of session, and back in the day, there were no cell phones, so you didn't have to worry about not checking them. or they were simply a little thing that flipped up and you could push buttons and like call someone. It was actually a phone. So anyway, we had no idea. Like, it was just not happening. There was no information coming in from the outside at the session. And Roshii got up on the high seat and said, before I begin the Teisho, I'd like you all to know that we've invaded Iraq, or we've invaded Kuwait, or whatever it was. Iraq has invaded Kuwait, and we're not, it's happening. And I was like, well, we've got to stop the retreat. What are we going to do? I mean, I kind of expected everything to stop. I was much younger then, but I really thought that meant the retreat was going to be over and we're all going to do something else. I don't know what we're going to make flyers and mail them around, or I don't know what. We're going to do what else? Quick, do something. And then he went on with the Teisho about the koan, and we got back to Zazen. First, I was shocked, a little vexed, and then so relieved. So relieved. The truth is, if my instincts of the moment prevailed and we stopped session and started whatever you would do, no difference. Not really. There's time for social action. There's time for being engaged in social justice. And I expect that everyone here who's wearing a rocksuit has some kind of engagement with the world that needs it, according to your interests and capacities and history and all this. But when it comes time to do sesshin, we're doing sesshin. When it comes time to sit, just sit. It's this kind of resolve. But in our own personal calamities, this drama of your own life, the real catastrophe, the one that actually hits home, where's that come from? Again, I ask you, is that something they're doing to you? Is that because they're not meeting your expectations, so therefore you're just in your self-inflicted drama? I think not. Not really. Not really. Of course, healthy processing and honoring your feelings, of course, I bow to it. But ultimately, from the Dharma perspective, you have to take some time and don't play with those toys. Leave them in the sandbox. Sit down and really notice grasping and clinging, attachment, craving, desire, addiction. It should be this way, not that way. And the habit energy, it comes so fast, does it not? I have my pet, my hobby horse that I ride when things aren't right. Wow, how could they? I told you. You can ride that damn horse for a decade and you don't get anywhere by doing it. All you get is a lost decade. Quit playing with the hobby horse, man. Cut it out. Just cut it out. Well, I can't. Yes, you can. Actually, you can. Investigate deeply. Where is the clinging? Where is the attaching? Where is the habit energy pattern that's it's like a weather pattern just playing out? Things that seem permanent are not, if you really look deeply. The big spot on Jupiter? it's not like a permanent mark on the planet. It's a storm. It's a hell of a storm. It's bigger than our planet. But it too will pass, right? It's a finite manifestation of the laws of physics as appearing now on this Bodhisattva planet that pulls in all the meteors from the Oort cloud for us. Jupiter doesn't mind the storm at all. Pro tip. And the storm's very much there. Watch out, another pro tip. So, they re-examine the illusions of the fourfold logical analysis. That's perhaps a bit abstract, but really it simply means being, non-being, both being and non-being, neither being nor non-being, right? That's the fourfold logical what have you. And they untether themselves from such mental gymnastics. And finally, the various elements that enter into enlightenment and self-realization. This enlightenment and self-realization, there are causes and conditions which are necessary for it to arise. And if Sangha has a job, if a teacher has a job, it's to serve the Sangha by creating the causes and conditions wherein awakening may and does occur. Nothing that happens here is actually just willy-nilly. You might travel to different places and see it manifesting slightly or greatly differently, but upaya is upaya is upaya. It has to do with this awakening business. That's the business of the family. That's the family business. Now, having revisited these things, in the thrill of their new powers of self-mastery, Bodhisattvas enter the seventh stage, called the far going. Notice, the thrill of their new powers of self-mastery. Bodhisattvas are allowed to have feelings and allowed to have fun. And you know what? Awakening feels great. This is not some somber thing you have to gut out because you should. I don't know anybody who's sustained a long-term practice with that as the fuel. That's guaranteed to burn out because it's just a cruddy fuel source. Can't travel far with that kind of fuel. The fact is, practice is thrilling. It is. It's just delightful at times. There are so many moments that have impressed themselves deeply upon my life that would only come about because of my willingness to put myself in the situation. I made reference earlier, this retreat, of a moment I had stepping out in the back when I was a student and seeing the snowfall come down and how it was a turning moment for me. What was it? It was snow. But at that moment, it was the entire cosmos. And there was no one there to watch it, by the way. So, the thrill of new capacities. It is thrilling. It's great. You know, there are some people that are attracted to the Dharma because of pain. There's suffering, there's pain. I need help. This seems like it may be useful, and they investigate, and it is helpful, and then on they go, and it's great. Another way in is simply to feel the thrill of it, to feel the awesomeness of being a Jedi. Cool. Yeah. Sweet. You know, to hold the staff of Gandalf or the wand of Dumbledore or the saber of Yoda. Yeah, absolutely. It's thrilling. Enjoy it. Don't cling. Don't attach. Don't make a thing. But don't pretend that something isn't enjoyable. Go ahead and enjoy it. Then dedicate that joy to those who are lost. You see, The way to engage in sense experience that's pleasurable and not become attached is to cultivate the mind of dedication. Dedicate that thrill to those for whom it's not accessible. In the thrill of their new powers of self-mastery, the bodhisattvas enter upon the seventh stage of far going, called Durangama. Supported by the sustaining power of the Buddhas, the bodhisattvas at this stage enter the bliss of samadhi, of perfect tranquilization. Now, those that have been paying attention to the prior talks on this stuff, well, weren't we just talking about not hanging out in bliss and samadhi, and that lesser folk would just kind of hang out there and enjoy, right? And that's not the same. Not all bliss is the same. This one is wholesome. No downside to it. Enter into the bliss of the samadhi of perfect tranquilization. Owing to their original vows, the bodhisattva vows, which are so handsomely spelled out in our liturgy that we all invoked today, they are transported by, get this, emotions of love. I thought I was here for the Vulcan way. No, this really advanced bodhisattva is filled with love. That's what happens. Oh, love. Didn't we just have an admonishment back here about attachment? And yeah, that's not love, that's attachment. Know the difference. Love is not clinging. Love is not attaching. Love is not just two complementary habit energies using each other for their own satisfaction. No, it is not. I want to know what love is. I want you to show me. Exactly. Show me, don't tell me, right? I can't help but age myself. This is what happens as you get older. You just can't help it anymore. Anyway, owing to their vows, because they took the vows, right? Because owing to the strength of their vows and the support of the Buddhas and the depth of their realization and their willingness to constantly reinvestigate the things they may think they have already seen through, unlocks new capacities of love. Emotions are okay. Need it be said? I think for some of you, yes. If you're using your Zen practice to push emotions away, you're not doing it right. That's not the gig. See the nature of emotions, yes. Wield emotions wholesomely, yes. Please do. Transported by emotions of love and compassion, now here, listen to this. They become aware of the part they are to perform in the carrying out of their vows for the emancipation of all beings. They become aware of the part they are to perform in carrying out the vows for the emancipation of all beings. They know where they fit. They tune in, they remember, they feel, this is my part. I don't know a greater joy in the world than to find your way home, to actually land and know that you have landed. You know the part that you're going to play and that you are playing. How much time spent not knowing where we fit and who we are and what to do and how to do it? I swear that the lures and enticements of the world are just that. And I love the world. I'm very engaged in the world. But not because of lures and enticements. It's because I know my place. I know my role in this game of awakening. Do you? You can. Now, two things about this. Okay? The pinky's upset because it feels shortened. It got the short end of the deal. This ring feels special because it gets to wear a ring. None of the other ones do. This one's upset because it's always associated with crudeness. It's not fair. And it gets angry at the other fingers because of that. This finger's always pointing things out and telling others what to do. The thumb is just oppositional. It's always oppositional. Do you have to always be oppositional? You always have to point that out. We got rings. Screw you guys. Ah. The source of drama. Shakespeare had no idea of the miraculousness of the hand, right? But really, if these fingers were to awaken, they would realize they're all part of the same hand. They're expression of the same hand, and they'd quit cajoling and fighting and competing, and they would just rest in their place. This one holds the ring. This one's the tallest. This one reacts against this one, and they're all the same hand, and it's fine. There's no problem here. You are not a problem in need of a solve. No, you're not. You're perfect, complete, exactly as you are. All you need to do is just settle down and feel it. And you can. Yes, you can. The other thing about this knowing your place is unlike this fun little metaphor. There's another one. Let's see. Like baseball. There's different positions, right? First base, second base, third base, pitcher, shortstop, infield, outfield, and what? Catcher. Did I leave anybody out? Yeah, so those are the positions, okay? And a quarterback. Yeah. And a goalie, yeah. But so here's the thing, okay? Your position in the mandala and in this wonderful adventure of realization of all beings throughout space and time, you'll go through all the positions, man. Okay? It's not like you just play shortstop and that's all you ever do. You might find yourself being shortstop for a while, and then now you're the pitcher, and now you're up to bat, and now you're this one, and now you're that one, okay? So don't attach to a particular position. Don't be upset when other positions change around you. No kidding. You know, we have these Raksu and these gray robes and these black robes and the blue Raksu and on, because they're helpful. But don't get attached to it. Your role will change, may well. It's fine. Just live. You start off and you're a child in your parents' lap. Well, it doesn't stay that way, hopefully. Enjoy that moment when that's the moment, and as you grow up and you can no longer, Dad can't pick you up anymore, you can notice that and grieve it if you want, and move on to the next adventure, please. And as other people grow, develop, celebrate it. See, the thing that makes this funny is that it's true. This needless competing and comparing and contrasting and who's winning and all this stuff. I've never seen that be helpful. It's not helpful. Rather, What is my place in training? And I tell you, every place in training is exactly right. There is nowhere else you need to be. There's nothing else you need to do. There's no other thing you need to get. Simply walk the path your feet are on right now and stay in the protection and guidance of the lineage, and you will see. Depths will unfold. Experiences will come. You'll look around and go, wow, how about that? Thus, they do not enter into nirvana, but in truth, they are already in nirvana. You see, they realize that samsara and nirvana are not separate. They don't escape off into some nirvanic heaven realm somewhere. They stick around to be of use, and they're in nirvana the whole time. I remember once I was out at Levis Common, this was many decades ago, and about maybe not many, say 15 years ago, something like that. I remember Isabella was knee-high, so say 20 years ago. And there was somebody with a camera and a mic and a big church t-shirt on. And they came up to me and said, "Sir, may I ask you a question?" "Sure. How do you get to heaven?" And I went, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" "Answer the question, sir." "What does it take to get to heaven?" I just did. Let's find another one. Now, what was happening there, I later learned, is some local pastor, one of the mega whatevers, was using this as part of their sermon, and they had a collage of different people giving the wrong answer. And the pastor would refute the foolishness and heresy, and poor, misguided responses of the world, and tell you to do whatever his tradition told you to do. But I stick to my answer. This is it. Realize right now, this is nirvana. "Well, but I'm the pinky and I want to be the thumb. I'm the thumb and I want to be the pretty ring finger." Nirvana, 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 nirvana. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Really seeing that. And it doesn't mean that the pinky's the same size as the pointer. I'm glad they're not, frankly. That would be a little weird. Thus, they do not enter nirvana, but in truth, they too are already in nirvana, because in their emotions of love and compassion, there is no arising of discrimination. Henceforth, with them, discrimination no longer takes place. You see, the Taoist masters that would inherit these teachings and take them in would verse it by saying things like, "The great way is not difficult, it simply avoids picking and choosing. Setting up what you like against what you dislike is the disease of the mind. There's no freedom to be found there." These later poetic verses are just other language to the same heart of wisdom. How would you say it? How do you see it? That's what matters the most. Because of transcendental intelligence, only one conception is present: the promotion of the realization of noble wisdom. Now, this is not so complicated as it may sound. Because of transcendental intelligence, that simply means your Dharma eye. Because your Dharma eye is open, you're really all about awakening now. That's what it says. Listen again. Because of transcendental intelligence, only one conception is present: the promotion of the realization of noble wisdom. Simply put, because you've had some insight into true nature, you're all about it. That's the one concern that the Dharma eye has. The Dharma eye does not dally in craving and attachment and habit energy and drama. Please, please do not allow the flame of your life to burn down in the service of drama that is needless, unwholesome, and unhelpful. There are many things that need to be done, I know. I roll up these big sleeves and get to work too. But don't be fooled. The most important thing is realizing yourself, realizing the universe. Finally, their insights issue from the womb of Tathagatahood. Tathagata is thus come one, the thusness, suchness. Their insights do not come from their intellect. They haven't figured it out. They haven't worked it through. They haven't gamed the system sufficiently to fool everyone around them. It's not like that. Their insight actually comes right from the womb of existence itself. The womb of thusness itself. And thus they enter into their task with all seriousness and grumpiness. No. They enter into their task with spontaneity and radiancy. This emotion-filled being with love and compassion, spontaneously radiating awakening. This is closer to the picture. In fact, that's the picture. Spontaneous spontaneity and radiancy. God, I remember Myotai Sensei. Man, this woman, she has a radiance. She's my teacher. She gave me the name Rinsen. And man, she would get up there and give a talk, and it was just so amazing. Because my first teacher was pretty drill sergeant-ish, and it was good for me when I was young. But Myotai, she was just, and is, she just radiates this love of the Dharma, and you cannot tell what's going to happen. Oh. Maybe that's why I have such a high tolerance for that. Good marriage training. Spontaneous, radiant, okay? See, awakening has tells. There are clues. There's crumbs left here in the forest. You can tell. And one of the things that shows is that radiance and that spontaneity, this capacity. It's not coming from them. It's coming from the womb of existence itself. That's what the sutra says. That's my experience. Because it is of the self-nature of noble wisdom. So it's not like they're trying to be spontaneous. Yeah, you can't try to plan out your spontaneity. Now, you can try. But I mean, that'd be like trying to memorize a conversation in Japanese and then flying to Japan, finding someone and having that conversation, line by line. Strange foreigner. This is called the Bodhisattva's nirvana. This spontaneous, radiant love is the bliss of perfect self-yielding. The Bodhisattva's nirvana, the losing oneself in the bliss of perfect self-yielding. Do not hear perfect doormat. Helpless victim. No. What self is being yielded here? That's what needs to be seen into. This is the seventh stage. This is the stage of far going. For the sake of all of us, may we receive these teachings, maintain them, realize them, and give them away. May it be so.
So
Thank you for your practice, everybody.
Thank you everyone for choosing to be here today. That ends the streaming portion of our service. Are there any announcements?